Internet, you hear that? Listen, it's faint, but it's almost here. Yup, it's another season of Big Brother. I mean, it wouldn't really be the summertime without a bunch of strangers locked away in a house with no contact to the outside world for 3 months now, would it? Ugh. Feels good to be back, and with this renewed sense of spirit, I've thought about what this upcoming season could have been in another timeline. Because in the past, I've created numerous seasons of Big Brother and Survivor, seasons that were pure fantasy, some reality, and others just straight up better versions than what we got. On the Big Brother side of things, I stitched together 3 other seasons of the show. Legends, with all the biggest names returning from all eras. Second Chance, with one-time players I think would really pop on the screen if given a second shot at the game. And finally, All-Stars 2. Before we got All-Stars 2, anyway. The producers half-baked that one, and I'd like to think that my cast would have given us a little bit better TV. But what do I know? I'm not a casting director, I'm just a fantasy casting director who is now creating one more epic season for the history books. I give you Big Brother: Battle for the New Era. Because in the wake of season 22, The Last All-Stars, the show has markedly gone in a new direction. This is not a revelation. Both Survivor and Big Brother tend to refresh the page after a returning player season. And that definitely happened with the transition from BB22 to BB23 back in 2021. Since then, we've had 4 mainline seasons to chew on: BB23, 24, 25, and 26. We also got Reindeer Games, which felt like a fever dream, and Celebrity Big Brother 3, which, frankly, I'm not counting, because who cares? Do you? Before any season of Big Brother, the rumor mill always hums with a buzz of whispers and secrets. Seriously, every year it is always a thing. It's always the same. Most of it doesn't even pan out, and so I thought, what if BB27 actually followed through on some of these rumors? Mind you, these are fake rumors, but still, what if we got a wild All-Stars 3 season, not necessarily called All-Stars 3, just that it consisted of all returning players who were back again to seize the crown? And what if the big twist of this season was that the cast only comprised of players from this newer era of the show? Seasons are usually 16 people, and with 4 casts to invite players from, what if we cast 4 players from each of these 4 seasons, 2 men, 2 women, and created a season for the ages? And for my keen-eyed subscribers out there who also watch Survivor, I did do a variation of this for Survivor, a little different over there, but still, same idea. Kind of like how BB14 and 18 had 4 teams of 4, BB27 would have 4 groups of 4 from 4 different seasons. And to get it out of the way, I don't think that we need to bunch these players up into teams or anything based on their season, just that we're setting the parameters for the casting to divide along these lines. What would this season look like? Let's start at the top with Big Brother 23, the one with the cookout, the most dominant alliance in BB history. Not gonna lie, it's gonna be tough to not bring back X, Xavier, the winner of the season, who proved to have a stranglehold on win equity as he was the most powerful player in his alliance, and his alliance was completely controlling every facet of this house. He was also on Reindeer Games, and he did pretty well, and I think a second outing for the main game fits pretty well for this theme. Conversely though, I have also got Tiffany, X's biggest competition. Not an elf this time, the mastermind behind the whole master plan that would essentially just roll out the red carpet for X's win. Tiff was a force to be reckoned with, and it is tough to not see another All-Stars season without her on it at this point. And yeah, I'd be curious to see what happens if X and Tiff duked it out one more time. The last 2 players from BB23 are going to be a package deal, if only because they are literally now a package who both went on to win $1 million on The Amazing Race. Yep, it's Derek X and it's Claire, the child of God. Both of these players had a ton of potential that was left unrealized. Both were fun to watch, both were fan favorites, and both are now on my list as the last 2 reps for this season. And something tells me they probably won't get duped again. Big Brother 24 is going to be a bit trickier to navigate, as I've got a couple of different variations to consider, but first and foremost, they all start with Taylor, the winner, coming back again. Another Reindeer Games player who nearly won that season. I think that you have to expect her back for this one. Her story is just too strong. What she represents, the biggest underdog ever, somehow being reborn from the ashes only to go on to win. Yeah, on a season all about battling it out for dominance of the latest era, Taylor's a lock. You know who else is a lock? The guy who couldn't get out of his and then broke it. Michael, the guy that you would least expect to be one of the greatest comp threats of all time, tying Janelle for the record all on one season, and he wasn't even voted out in the pre-jury. Michael is going to get people in seats to see what he can do again, and we need more comp threats who break the mold for their archetype. Michael is all of that, and maybe more. Next up, I'm looking over at the leftovers, and I debated between Turner and Joseph to return, as I think that Turner can bring the jokes and some levity. Meanwhile, Joseph has some pep in his step that leads to all kinds of chaos if his BB24 game is just anything to go by. Well, it's everything to go by. I think if I had to pick one, I'm going to be picking Joseph here, but maybe we'll leave Turner on deck just in case an unforeseen last-minute twist pops up at the 11th hour. Finally, the second woman from this season that I am putting on the roster. And when I say this name, I think you might look at me sideways, but I don't care. We need her. I mean, look at the pool. And now look at Jasmine in the pool with a cane, her scooter, her Muffin Gate shenanigans, every Southern food analogy in the DR. Jasmine is returning because we need characters. She is just that, and who knows what we'll get from her on a second stint. Maybe she'll have like a moped. So that's BB24, but now we get to BB25, and again, I'm a bit unfocused and maybe unserious with my picks here, because starting out, I have the winner, shocker, it's Jag. I mean, like, someone has to be the first boot, right? Okay, I'm being mean, but really, the guy set the comp record. He absolutely crushed the end game. A total suffocation masterclass on how to just win every comp under the sun. He did make moves. I talked about them last year with my Road to Victory series. I don't want to just totally undermine him, and I think that he is another easy shoo-in for this season. On the flip side, the first pre-juror to return, and maybe the only for this fantasy season, is gonna be Izzy. Because I want good feeds, damn it. If you didn't watch the feeds for BB25, Izzy was a star, and she left us too soon. She was a superfan who burned too hot, and no matter how she does on a second go-around, I don't expect to be disappointed in the slightest. I can already see the vote flipping as I say this right now. And speaking of burning, I might be cooking a little bit too hard with this upcoming pick, but give me America, the Spitfire who was ready to unleash hell at a moment's notice, but had to be held back and rein it in for the sake of her game. America will make good TV, and amidst this cast, I don't even know what to expect from her, just that I am ready for it. And then, for pick number 4, gimme Cameron, the outlaw fugitive first boot from Reindeer Games. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not going there. Even though I can totally see Allison Grodner bringing him back alongside America, of course. I would personally much prefer if we got Corey back as a student turned master who learned from his mistakes on BB25 and then just like dominated 2 years later. Corey had fantastic reads for half the game, which is like the length of a regular season for half the show's history, and I don't need compies out the wazoo here. I want cerebral players too. And Corey fits the bill, and he's in there with America, which is just like too perfect for him. How does he navigate this time? Lastly, we have Big Brother 26. And we are clearly setting a precedent, so yeah, Chelsea is first on the docket. A strong, dominant game, one of the most dominant in recent history, and while she doesn't really have a lot to prove, I would just like to see what she has up her sleeve with a second go-around. Can she pull off a similar impressive run? Can she be considered one of the greatest to ever play? Seems to me to reach that bar, you need to have at least a second showing, and so here she goes. On the flip side of Chelsea, I have got the madwoman herself. The total opposite of Chelsea, I've got Angela. I mean, how could I not? You really think Angela isn't getting called back? That woman had 9 lives, and she spent like 3 of them in the first week with her crazy eyes rant. Somehow, she set the record for most vetoes used on a player that didn't win the veto in a single season. Angela, and she was Feed's gold. You may not love her, and I get it, but every season needs a good villain too, and why not her? You don't have to answer that, by the way. There's no good answer. She's on the cast. The final two players, the final two men on this cast are gonna be like two peas in a pod. If you recall BB26, you know where I'm going with this one, right? I mean, we can't talk about that summer without mentioning the Quinn and Tucker of it all. I'm bringing both of these guys back to round out this cast of 16 because between Quinn falling backwards into evicting his allies to Tucker falling forwards into being immune through the arena twist, and then blowing up his game all over again in the following week, how could I not bring these guys back? Their rivalry was a major highlight of this season. They both get reactions from the fan base, and I think there's a lot of untapped potential for a second run from both of them. Tucker is gonna blow the game up every week, and Quinn is just gonna be like deflecting and dodging those grenades, all while attempting to tackle his biggest hurdle all over again. Sign me up. And whew, okay, there we go. I present to you a Big Brother Battle for the New Era. Now, who is gonna fire the first shot? And okay, so if we're gonna be getting a random 17th house guest, which does happen from time to time, and no, it's not gonna be Ainsley this time, I say we split the difference and just bring back both the other half of Turner and Joseph from BB24, whichever doesn't initially make the cut. Because it's one of my favorite seasons, and this is my list, and I'm biased, and now Turner is back to snatch Jasmine's muffins all over again. But let me know what you think about my fantasy cast list for this hypothetical returning player season, and who would you cast if you got the chance? A big thank you to my patrons for all your support, and thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to love one another on your way out. It's the only way, and I will see you in the next one. Once I go buy some baking ingredients, because it's muffin making time.
My God, she is so annoying. I cannot with Jasmine. Jasmine is the most high maintenance person I have ever met in my life. Not to exaggerate or anything, but living with Jasmine is probably the hardest thing I have ever done in my life.
Oh, they're so pretty.
They're so perfect.
I want 2 muffins, so I'm gonna put them bad boys in a bag and save them for later.
Who ate half of my muffin?
Yo, people trying to with you probably.
Who ate the half?
Did I eat the muffins? Honestly, I should have.
I think that Jasmine's like all of us. I could totally see this, and that's why I ate her muffin.
I mean, I did. I ate the muffin, let's be honest.
I just have one question, Turner.
Yes.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Oh my God, it's me. At this point, I am the Muffin Man.